Hello again, YouTube. This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm back with Scribblenauts Unlimited, the object editor commentaries. Yes, that is the name of this game, Scribblenauts Unlimited. It's so funny when people ask me what's the name of this game, and they think it's actually an app, but it's a full-fledged game that you can buy just like any other retail games. It's for Wii U and PC, but it's also for 3DS, but don't get it for 3DS because the object editor is not for 3DS. It's only on Wii U and PC, so let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off with a robot as the source object. You don't really need to do this necessarily. I just did it because it's the obvious choice, but it will walk very strangely. If you've ever seen the robots walk in this game, they kind of walk with their pelvis out forward and their legs kicking out. Very odd. Yes. But anyway, we've taken Rumpelstiltskin for the arms and then Can as the body. We're creating Bender from Futurama, Bender Bending Rodriguez. Take a hemisphere shape and put that on the top of the can, the little open part right there. A mammoth, like woolly mammoth. We're going to take the front leg, but the one in the back, you know, the one, it would be the mammoth's left leg. Take that upper thigh type piece, I guess, whatever you would call that, the upper piece. That's going to be the head shape for Bender, as well as some other things that we're going to be using it for. So then you've got these capsule shapes. They're just like the little line from the general 29-page library, and then on the 22nd page of the pattern library here, you could use that coloration and stuff, and we'll use it for our other Bender. I'm going to be creating two different Benders, so you can kind of see two different designs that you can do, or you can use this one right here. The funny thing about this one is that it always glitches on Wii U, so I'm not sure that it will stay like this. It may actually do the glitch, but anyway, we'll see. You type in I-E-Y-E, not the letter I, and use that for his eyes. They're a little bit kind of, they've got like a shade of yellow to them, so, you know, kind of give them a very light yellow shade. And we'll create the little antenna on top of Bender, so you use that hemisphere once again, and then do needle. That's going to be the little point, and be sure, of course, that the all the coloration is kind of the same. You know, you want to stick with this kind of shade of gray, and then a dot will be the top of the antenna, of course. That kind of makes sense, probably. And I'm moving this all back a little bit, just kind of adjusting some things for the last little bit of our creation here. But then we'll take I guess another dot will be a good shape to use for the handle of the door that is kind of on his chest. And because the can has these two little lines on it, I'm going to make that kind of be the door's lines. You know, you could draw them in with some kind of square rectangle that you want, or at least a shape that's kind of like that. We've used a male dancer's legs, and then of course done the hemisphere once again. You could also do a yarmulke, you know, the Jewish hat. You could put that as his feet as well. And we'll name it Bender. Why not? His name is Bender. You could also call him Bender B. Rodriguez, Bender Bending Rodriguez, any of that stuff. And normally when we're editing properties or scripting tool stuff here, I usually read background information and fun facts about whatever it is that we're creating in this series. I could say so much, I'll try to go fast. The name Futurama actually came from a pavilion at the 1939 New York World's Fair. The Futurama Pavilion depicted how its designer imagined the world would look in 1959, which would then be the future. Many other titles were considered for the show, names like Aloha Mars and Doomsville, which Matt Groening, Simpsons and Futurama creator, says were rejected by everyone concerned with it. Thank God. Because the only title I can really see for it is Futurama. But again, I could say so much about this show. Seriously, Futurama has been my favorite animated show for a long time, and I can almost recite the lines from the show verbatim for the first 4 seasons. And I think that I've listened to all of the DVD commentaries of each episode at least 3 times, again for the first 4 seasons, but maybe even more than that, because I used to actually watch or listen to them in college while I was doing work. So, unfortunately, the only bad thing about having so much to say about Futurama is that I only have a limited amount of time during this segment where I normally read the background information or fun facts, and with so little time, maybe it would just be better for me to finish off by saying what my favorite parts are and or my favorite characters or whatever. I love Dr. ZOIDBERG, and I love that he's always trying to be friends with everyone, but then he gets dumped on all the time. I can kind of relate from my early life. But I also love just about any character voiced by the great John DiMaggio, of course, mainly the voice of Bender, but I think one of the voices that I mostly love by him would be Earl, i.e. U-R-L, Earl, the robot cop who always says things like, "I'm gonna get 24th century on his ass." And of course, the beloved, "Failure to scoop. Oh, yeah." You can see here we're actually creating a different Bender, which I've named Bender B. Rodriguez. Basically, what we're doing right now is doing the kind of angry-eyed Bender, and sometimes he looks like this for a long time, so you can do your design depending on which eyes you want to give him. Normally, his eyes are square, actually. They give robots square eyes in Futurama, and so I'm doing a pimple, but kind of making it a little bit bigger and making the line on the bottom make it look a little bit more square. But then the hemispheres are the little eyes that look angry or whatever. So the next interesting thing is we're going to use this source source object twice. It's called I See What You Did There, and it makes this little guy right here that we're showing off. It looks kind of like Fry, of course, as the man. Businessman is going to be the head, but we're going to, of course, add some things to it because Fry's haircut is very interesting. It's very identifiable, I think. And so that's actually one thing that Matt Groening has said in the commentaries and things is he really likes characters that, when designed, they are easily identifiable if they were to be a silhouette. And so if you saw kind of a silhouette of Fry's head, you would quickly see who it is, I think, especially if you know the character. But even if you've only seen it a few times, it's just a quickly identifiable head shape and hair shape and things like that. So we've done fang for the 2 hair spikes right there. Mostly everything else is the same. Of course, we've got a cone shape for the kind of back hairs. He's got like these 2 little spikes, I guess, in the back of his head too. So we've done that. And Philip J. Fry, it only has 1 L. Let me edit that. There we go. Philip J. Fry is his full name. We'll mostly keep everything the same right here for the I See What You Did There character, just because we have to move along. We're going to create the entire Planet Express crew, and I'm not talking about like Nibbler and things like that, but at least all the humans and humanoids. Now, if you do I See What You Did There and make it the female version, it actually kind of looks like Leela. So, we had Fry and then we have Leela. And so I took the back arm, her left arm. It would be the right to us, but it's her left. Took that and put it on the arm for her right arm. Physical therapist is going to be the head that we're going to use. You can use lots of different female heads that have a ponytail, basically, or you could even draw in the ponytail yourself if you find some objects that you like better. I was really happy. I had to go back and look at some pictures of Leela and stuff, and usually I do look at pictures whenever I'm creating anything for this series, but I was like, okay, is her eye kind of more vertical or is it horizontal? And I don't know why I even had a question, because yes, it is more horizontal, but that's really good for us. It's to make it horizontal, we can cover up the eyes on the physical therapists that are shown up there in Scribblenauts, and so it's much better that it is horizontal like that. And this took a lot of playing around with it. I was thinking lips. Of course, mouth doesn't work because it's an open mouth, but to get Leela's lips, I figured we could do a tongue and move it sideways and just paint it kind of the color of her pinkish lipstick or lips. And Pimple is going to be the eye yet again, just like we did with Fry and all the other characters. The mammoth, the same part that we used for Bender's head, we're going to actually make that Leela's little armband thing that sometimes talks to her even, but has many uses. Buzz is one of Maxwell's brothers. We're going to use that for Leela's legs and feet. Because he's got the boots, I kind of liked that look for Leela's big boots. There's something else that I'm thinking of now, actually, is I forgot to mention that another voice actor that I really love from the show, and I like them all, so I'm not, discounting anybody when I say this, but I also enjoy Maurice LaMarche, who voices Calculon, but also the horrible gelatinous blood, and Morbo and Lur, etc., all of those characters. And yes, as I always say, all of these voice actors have way too many credits for me to name them all, so I kind of just have to say a few of them. But yes, we could actually go on and on and on. But for Leela's boots, actually, just to get back to that, I'm creating kind of the laces or Velcro or whatever she's got on them, and that's going to be just a minus sign. We'll name her Taranga Leela. That is her full name. It looks kind of like Taranga, but that's how it's spelled. And Dot is going to be one of the details. We're going to make that kind of the main, I guess, touchscreen part of her arm doodad right there, and then 2 smaller circles or dots can be the other shapes. Now we've got Zoidberg. We've just started off with a barber as the source object, mainly for the coat. I wanted some kind of coat that has the pockets on it, but also has the 3 buttons, and just one that would also have kind of the pants down below, sort of at the groinal region, sorry to say it. But you can also see that, of course, the barber, we've taken the leg, the back leg, that would be the barber's left, and that's just basically for both the legs for Zoidberg. If you color the foot or shoe that the barber has red, and then just type in sandals, you'll get this right here. It's basically like having Dr. Zoidberg's foot in there, his bare foot, and then having it in the sandals. It works out really well. Giant enemy crab is the claws right here. Most people might think, oh, should I do crab claws? But I actually think it looks a lot better with the giant enemy crab ones, even though it does have those ridges on it. You could even take just this piece that we're working with right here for the giant enemy crab and make that both parts of his pinchers, but I kind of liked how it had the ridges and things like that, so I'm kind of sticking with the design that we've got here. And his tendrils, his little tentacle-looking tendrils on his face, this is actually just this 4th page, general 29-page library arm shape right here. Paint that red. You could use any of the shapes that you really think are good for that. I like how it looks right here. You can also do this. I don't think that I'm going to to add it in my final design, but if you kind of want it to look more like his mouth and things like that, you could possibly use the cat tail and just turn it to where you want it to be to make it look like he's got his mouth line, I guess, right there. And the head, once again, was the same head for Bender. It was the mammoth piece. So a neuroscientist will be the source object for our next creation, which is Professor Hubert Farnsworth. So with that, the neuroscientist, it didn't have the, it didn't show the undershirt all the way through, so I actually made just the letter I be that part. You'll see right here. See, I just moved it away for a second. Also, the 10th page of the general 29-page library has that green little Martian's arm. That's what we used for kind of his collar right there for just before his neck. And the I is also, the letter I should say, is also the piece for his little slippers down there. A pom-pom is actually the tip of the slippers. He's quite often wearing those comfy slippers, so I thought it'd be funny to add that. Doctor is going to be the arms. You could use really any arms that have the full length sleeve and hand showing. Mango, just like in The Simpsons, that's going to be kind of his mouthpiece that makes his lip come out like that. Cat tail is the little mouth line, and then the glasses are made with sphere and circle, done about 4 times to make them look all 3D with that metallic color. And this piece from a certain dinosaurs, it's just like how we use the mammoth head and things like that. I took actually a certain dinosaur and made that leg thigh piece be the head for Professor Farnsworth. A curved nose for the nose, and then also I, the letter I, is the strap for his glasses, and we've put an ear on him, as well as a dot and pimple for those little dots that are on his head, the sunspots that he has. A general 29-page library arm, any of them will work really for the neck piece. He's got a neck right there with the zebraic color pattern, and just color it the same flesh tones after that. And a golem's shoulder, which we'll see in a second as well, but it was used on a lot of the Five Nights at Freddy's objects and things like that. The golem's shoulder piece is the pocket that's down there next to his hand. You can also use this kind of like computery looking piece right here that we're coloring his hands with. You know, at first it looks white, but then you color it the flesh tone after that, and it looks like some wrinkles in his hands as well. So, you know, the professor, he's an old guy, wrinkly old guy. So we've reflected that with those patterns. So now we'll be showing off Scruffy, the janitor. Right here, Eric Boughton, I think is how you pronounce that, or BOUGHTON, something like that. That's the source object. You can see how it's spelled up above. The golem's shoulder piece, once again, is kind of going to be this pocket flap that he has right here on the top for his sleeves, as well as that Martian's arm on the 10th page of the 29-page library. This character on the belt, you can use glue for that kind of buckle piece, and I actually did little pimples that are colored white for the studs in the belt as well. You can put kind of whatever designs you want. I did shoes for the big shoes that Scruffy's wearing, his big work boots. I just felt like it looked kind of good doing them that way. That same head for Farnsworth is also the head for Scruffy right here. We use spheres for the white part of the eyes, and then hemisphere for the kind of eyelids going over it to make it look like he's always sort of drowsy or lethargic or whatever. A berry is his ear, and then of course hair for the mustache and a hat for the hat. So now we've got a female bodybuilder with, I put a tank top on for Amy because the bodybuilder shows a little bit more skin than Amy does, but she does show off her belly and things like that in her hoodie. So that's why I've put on the tank top to cover a little bit more of the stomach, a pimple for the belly button and the dots in her eyes, the pupils, a berry for the ear, cattail for the mouth line, an eyebrow for her little nose, a mechanic's arms. If you type in mechanic and do the female mechanic, it doesn't really matter if it's male or female, probably you can get that for the arms, a red coat for the legs. Of course, you've got to color them accordingly, the legs and shoes, ovals for eyes, and the whisker or eyelash for her eyelashes. Hair 3 times, just colored all black is going to be her crazy hair. Amy has really crazy hair. And I would like to make it more square on the ends, of course, to look kind of more like Amy Wong in the show, but we didn't have enough stamp space to complete that, and so doing it this way, how I do the Scribblenauts art style, which is basically like kind of short and big-headed characters usually, and they look kind of cartoony generally, kind of cute characters. You know, that's how I typically do the art style, just like Scribblenauts. But starting off with an orc as the source object for our next creation, and using glasses for the glasses on his head, and the head itself is a clerk, the male clerk, and then pimple twice for the little dots in his eyes, of course, a nose for the nose, cattail done twice, turned either direction for the mouth. We're creating Hermes CONRAD. The reason that I chose orc was because of the open jacket kind of part. We're going to use cloud for his crazy hair dreads that he has. They're kind of like puffy looking dreads. Now, the only problem with the clerk probably is that he kind of has a lot of hair, and Hermes doesn't, you know, necessarily have a big volume of hair. It just kind of goes out everywhere. everywhere for his dreads. So if you want to find a human or humanoid that has kind of less hair than that, I'm just shrinking down the clerk's head right now to kind of reflect it a little bit better maybe. Other than orc, you could also use like a paramedic. That one might also be a good torso if you don't like how the orc's torso looks. Be sure if you are going to use orc or probably even paramedic, you turn off under behaviors in the properties tool. Check off the box that says it inherits the source object's behavior because you don't want it to. The orc will be crazy and everything like that. And also make sure that people react to it not as an orc. You don't want people to run away from it or anything like that. The arms on Hermes right now come from the general 29-page library. You can see them kind of around the grandmother head and things like that in the 29-page library. The feet come from a male ninja, or I should say the legs do, but the feet are loafers. So you just type in loafer and color it red for that. Then I've taken two little dots, and one of them is kind of out farther to show that maybe he has like a little belly to him, because Hermes does kind of have a lower belly like that. So that's why one of the dots, they're not lined up together in a straight line. A minus sign is what we've done for the kind of line that's going just at the collar, kind of where his neck is. And the belt is already on the orc right there, so that's why we've got a red belt. We're actually going to add to that in just a moment. But a crane, we'll take the neck piece of a crane right here, and you do crane the bird, not the crane object. But that's going to be a little line that we're going to put in the middle for the collar. I just got to paint it all black here and shrink it down to size, make it real thin. And so, yes, okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm just kind of making some last-minute size adjustments and placement adjustments, I should say. And looks good. We'll take a rectangle shape from the shapes library, the geometry library of shapes, and that will be for the buckle kind of part of his belt right there, the dark red piece that's on it. Add whatever other details you want to fit in like that. I've scripted every character in this. I couldn't really show it for the sake of time to kind of do behaviors and things that are reminiscent of the show. Like Fry really enjoys things that are space, space objects. Hermes is a bureaucrat. That's how people react to him. And he uses office supplies. Bender shoots out a bottle. It's supposed to be like beer or something. Leela will grab lasers if she sees them. Laser guns. Scruffy uses cleaning supplies. Just use your head if you've seen the show and kind of pick the things that you want them to do or have or use. But there they are, Planet Express, the crew right here. And so nobody specifically asked me for which characters they wanted to see. They just said make Futurama characters. So that's why, again, I'm not gonna go like 30 minutes or an hour long episode or something creating like every character we could do from the show. It's like I'm just choosing to do these characters right here. They're kind of the main cast anyway. So if there was characters that you wanted to see, first of all, I didn't forget them, but you can request them here in the comments, and we'll see if they get to be the most popular request. That's how I choose my objects each week, is I basically see what the comments are, what are the most comments about from different people, and what's voted up with the most upvotes or thumbs up. Basically, whatever has the most points in the end will be the most popular object deemed by me, and we'll create it in the following episode or an episode to come after that. Things are a little crazy lately, so forgive me if I can't get to some comments, soon after this episode uploads. The upload date should be Sunday, April 5th. If I haven't answered comments in a while or things like that, I'm going to get to all of them. It's just that me and my wife and my dogs are moving. We have to move into a new place, so we're moving to a new apartment. So things are just kind of busy right now, and I'm always busy. So when I say busy, for me to say that, it has to mean a lot. So hope that's cool with everyone. Just be patient. But again, I love the support. Thank you so much. We've exceeded the 80,000 subscriber mark, and we're on our way, Kendopolis. We are on our way. So I will catch you on the next vid. And thanks for viewing. Spectacle so you can be the viewer and
been down the road of twists and turns, always anxious to see what's within. We can look ahead to the point of no return, to the rest of our lives as the spectacle begins. I've been down the road of twists